Welcome back. We're joined now by Vice President for Athletics, Scott Leykam. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming to the abode, Adam.
Lots to talk about as it is a busy time of year in the Bluff. Let's talk about basketball. First with the men. Picked up some momentum lately, winning 4 of their last 6. Talk about this team as they enter the stretch run.
Well, we made a conscious decision as a program with Coach Porter to go young. There's 2 options in this business now. You go young and you build with freshmen, or you build with JC transfers and grad transfers. And we built young. We had a schedule that I have to apologize for to Terry every once in a while. We have the 2nd best strength of schedule in the country. To the point we won 2 games last weekend and our RPI actually went down. So I think we had a young team that played a gauntlet of a schedule with North Carolina. You got Trae Young in Oklahoma. You get Gonzaga twice early in league. But I'm pleased with the progress. You've got a dynamic backcourt with Shaver and Walker. Diabate's done a really nice job in the post. And we've had senior leadership. I don't think those guys have gotten enough credit with all that we talk about the freshmen. Phil Hartwich has been a great leader in the locker room and has given everything he's had this year. And DeMarcus Tyson. It's been neat to see DeMarcus have a big year off the bench, is starting to see more minutes and really shooting the ball well.
And he's actually on the verge of becoming a 1,000-point scorer, so great career on the Bluff for Demo. Let's stick with men's basketball and go to the West Coast Conference. It seems like every year the BCS conferences gobble up all the at-large bids of the NCAA Tournament. Talk about some things that are on the horizon for the conference to combat that issue.
At the end of the day, the WCC budget is funded by the NCAA basketball tournament. So we have a real decision to make on how we protect those 2nd and 3rd place teams, that their RPIs get them in a chance to get in on Selection Sunday. So we've got to kick some ideas around. Do we play fewer conference games? Do you play the top teams more? If you're that 1 and 2 team, do you play the top team 3 times? Do you play 16 league games instead of 18? We really have to get to a point where we're protecting those RPIs, because as you said, those at-large bids for a league like ours are getting harder and harder to come by, and it's time for us to get creative and potentially put us in a position to continue getting those bids.
And you mentioned the men's team as being young. The women's team is also a pretty young squad. They've showed some promise this season. They beat St. Mary's a couple weeks ago for the first win over the Gales since 2010. Talk about some things you like about that team.
Well, I like the young talent, as you mentioned. I think with Josie Matz and Maddie Mulheim, and you've got some nice local Pacific Northwest young talent, and I think that you're going to see develop over the next couple of years. They've been in games. I mean, we've had a lot of chances in 4th quarters, and with a young team, I think that those wins will come. But I think the youth, especially with the freshman class, leaves some hope for the future.
Let's switch gears to some coaching changes on the Bluff, specifically women's soccer and volleyball. Start with women's soccer. Michelle French taking over that program. A lot of excitement about that hire and the program itself. Talk about the process to bring her back and also the importance of having alums on the staff.
Well, a couple things. One, Adam, I jinxed ourselves this summer and said we didn't have any coaching changes last year, and then you have 2 in 3 or 4 weeks. I think with women's soccer, it's been nice to have 3 alums on the staff. I mean, with Michelle, it's somebody that there's not much of a time for her to feel us out. She knows what UP is about. She knows the players, the mission of the university, so that fits very well. And she's fit with the student athletes in the locker room immediately. And then to add Rachel Rapino and Ellie Reed and with Maite Zabala and Dom Doty, a couple of veteran assistants, I think you have a crew that instantly understand what it's like to be at UP. And as you know, that's 95% of the battle then when you go out and recruit, because you've got to find those kids that fit your institution. So I think Michelle's going to bring that to the table right away.
In volleyball, we lost a good one in Brent Crouch, who is now at USC, a perennial powerhouse down there. But we elevated Jeff Baxter, the assistant coach. Talk about hiring Jeff Baxter and the role that continuity played in that decision.
Well, 2 things. I mean, we took a quick look out there. There were still 20, 25 jobs open, so there was a lot of competition out there. We interviewed 4 or 5 folks on the phone to see what else was out there. And with Jeff, at the end of the day, you said it was continuity. So the gold medal squared coaching program is something that Brent came from, and the same as Jeff. And what we heard from our student athletes is that continuity on how we scout, how we teach the vocabulary of the game was critical, and we found that there wasn't going to be a better fit out there than Jeff.
And talk about briefly the job that Brent Crouch did while he was here.
That's a miracle worker type job with how quickly he turned that around. I mean, one, he went out and got some high impact transfers right away. I mean, you have to credit a Hannah Troutman or a Reagan Pukas that would say, I'm going to leave where I was. I mean, Hannah had played the NCAA tournament the year before, and I'm going to go to an 0-27 program. So to get 2 impact transfers like that, but also the way he developed the student athletes. You look at the player Katie Sullivan was from freshman to senior year, and Brittany Markwith. He went out, he both recruited, but he developed players very quickly.
And a topic we like to revisit from time to time, facilities. Any update on the River campus?
Always building, Adam, always building. River campus is moving along. So we are now officially permitted on the 2 soccer fields down on the river. That happened about a week and a half ago. We anticipate starting construction sometime next week and having both that turf and grass field done by Labor Day. The other piece that will go this summer is the dock. We have approval from the river trustees to get that started. So all the old river pilings are coming out. The dock will go in that July 1 to October 1 window. So those are the 2 projects there. On the periphery, and we're moving through architecture, are in order the boathouse, the track, and the tennis facility. We've got early architecture schematics on all of those, but right now the focus from a construction standpoint is both the dock and the fields.
And then back up the hill, Joe Etzel Field has undergone a couple of different phases in its upgrade. Talk about where that project currently is.
So we're on the 3rd and final phase, which is replacing the existing grandstand behind the dish and building something new with press box, concessions, restrooms, a cover for the premium seats there. We were able to secure a 7-figure gift in the last couple of weeks, which gets us in shouting distance of potentially starting construction this fall or winter.
We'll end your interview on somewhat of a sad note. We're losing a major part of UP athletics. James Vega, our video guy, is moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders. Talk about what someone like James has meant to this program, and he's someone you've known for a while.
I think major is a little bit of an overstatement, but what James has done, and I've known James since our WCC and St. Mary's days, I mean, I'm very proud of our video production unit with what you and Jose and Noel and Riley and our crew do. And James was the first one here that helped us build this show and everything we've done, winning some Emmys and a video perspective. I'm not sure we're going to miss him, but it was nice to have him for a couple years.
Scott Leykam, thank you very much. We'll see you on the golf course.
Thanks, Adam.